evening. You're watching RTD's English News Edition, the top stories. Today was held at the Anglais, Djibouti first contract signing ceremony in the presence of the head of state. In the Middle East, Lebanon Prime Minister resigns over tensions with Hezbollah. Thank you for joining us. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, at the invitation of the American authorities of Djibouti, honored today Sunday with his presence a signing ceremony of contracts under the Djibouti First program, which took place in the Camp Lemonnier, the U.S. military base in Djibouti. Upon his arrival, the President of the Republic was welcomed by the American Embassy's Affair Attaché, Mr. Alexander Hamilton, Chief of the U.S. Military Command of the Maritime Region of Europe, Africa and South Asia, Admiral Williamson, and Camp Lemonnier Commander Captain Nancy Lacour. This signing ceremony was attended by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Youssef, Minister of Defense, Ali Hassan Bahdon, the Labour Minister Administration, Hassan Idris Samirre, the General Army Staff, Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, and the various senior executives of the U.S. Army. This Djibouti First initiative is a commercial and socio-economic strategy. It distributes economic benefits to Djiboutian businesses, creating links and goodwill. Let's bear in mind that Djibouti First was adopted by the U.S. Congress in January 2015. It constitutes an important step in the development of local capabilities and in the guarantee to create opportunities by partnering with local suppliers to provide goods and services to the Camp Lemonnier. The chargé d'affaires and acting head of the diplomatic mission of the United States of America in Djibouti, Alexander Hamilton, said that under the agreement signed, U.S. military officials will give preference to Djiboutian companies. Since January 2015, he has specified contracts where several tens of millions of dollars have been awarded to eligible suppliers in accordance with Djibouti First. More details in the following video.
Under the legislation, the U.S. military was able to give preference to Djiboutian businesses. Since January 2015, tens of millions of dollars worth of contracts have been awarded to Djibouti First eligible vendors. Indeed, in 2016 alone, the United States contributed over $200 million to the Djiboutian economy, representing nearly 14% of the total gross domestic product. I am happy to share with you today that the Djibouti First program has been expanded and is now called the Africa First program. This means that Djiboutian businesses will be eligible for preferential bidding not just in Djibouti, but across the entire continent of Africa. This move will open more markets to Djiboutian businesses and will give local enterprises the opportunities and incentives to scale up. The Djibouti and Africa First programs are concrete examples of the commitment of the United States to the Republic of Djibouti and our resolve to advance our strategic partnership.
For the Djiboutian head of diplomacy, Mohammed Ali Yusuf, the presence of the American base in Djibouti for 16 years now offers work to many young people. The minister said that we really see the economic role of Camp Lemonnier in the development of business in our country. More information in this video.
Today, $25 million worth of projects are allocated to 4 companies. For so many years so far, the camp has been directly employing more than 1,000 Djiboutians, and even more indirectly. Yes, the Djibouti-US partnership is based on a win-win situation. Of course, our government has been calling for a broader involvement of Djiboutian companies and businesses in the camp activities. That's when we managed to convince the American administration to pass the Djibouti First bill, recently transformed into Africa First. Our major concern was that tenders and other bids could be opened to other African companies in Djibouti. But as explained to us during the latest BNF meeting in April 2017 in Washington, the priority will always be given to Djiboutian companies in any case. Your Excellency, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt that the American military presence in our country is meant to fight terror and violent extremism in our region. At the same time, this presence has an economic role to play in the country. This is why the Djiboutian government gives the utmost attention to promote a constructive and fruitful cooperation with the Camp Lemonnier. Now, I would be remiss not to pinpointing the civil cooperation programs we do have with the U.S. Agency for International Development. With around $25 million for labor capacity building and employment promotion, over the next 5 years, we do have quite a tangible substance in this bilateral cooperation. So, we certainly expect more in terms of development programs, and in particular, more American investments in our economy. Your Excellency, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, this is the best way to lay the foundation of sustainable and mutually beneficial relationship between the United States and the Republic of Djibouti.
After the different speeches, the 4 contractors have proceeded to the signature of the contracts. Let's recall that the concession of these contracts came in the wake of the U.S. announcement of the budget allocated to the Djibouti Force program. The Djibouti Force program is a proof of the multi-sectoral and multispectral nature of partnership between the United States of America and the Republic of Djibouti. Continuing with the national news, a working meeting under the aegis of the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kabil Mohammed was held in the meeting room of the department in the presence of various ministers of the government. This first meeting of a series of working meetings with the various ministers had as a main objective the biannual review of the achievements of the 2017 action plan of the various ministerial departments. In his opening statement, the Prime Minister has indicated that the action plan must be consistent or in line with the strategy for accelerated growth in employment promotion SCAPE in Vision 2035 in order to better understand what has been realized and what is running. He concluded that this series of meetings will continue with other ministerial departments in order to finally present a well-established and identical world that meets the SCAPE in Vision 2035. A ceremony for the handing over of road management equipment took place this morning in Belbela at Djibouti's road agency headquarters, also known as ADR. For this occasion, the Prime Minister has made a visit to the agency where he has been received by the Minister of Equipment and Transport, the Ambassador of Japan to Djibouti, and the Director General of ADR. The Djiboutian Road Agency was to receive 105 new generation equipments from the government of Japan. The high project is funded in the amount of 2 billion of our francs, and this equipment donation will serve the Djiboutian agency to advance in its road development projects. A 6-month training for ADR technicians is in progress so that they can use and efficiently manage the equipment offered by the government of Japan. After the cutting of the ribbon, the Prime Minister visited the new equipment center and the workshop. The Minister of Equipment and Transport, Mohammed Abdul Qadir, has delivered an important speech in which he thanked the government of Japan for this generous gesture, that has recalled that training will be given by JICA to the technicians of the Djibouti Road Agency in order for them to be familiarized with these new generation equipments. The Prime Minister has, in an interview granted to the RTD, talked about the relations of cooperation that exist between Djibouti and Japan. He has mentioned the importance of this donation granted by the Japanese government, which will help the Djiboutian agency to advance in its road development projects. As part of the ongoing preparation for the Djibouti International Fair, the Djibouti Chamber of Commerce has held this morning an international symposium meeting to discuss investment opportunities in the country on renewable energies and transport services. This symposium was organized by the German Ambassador Dr. Volker in Djibouti and saw the participation of the Economy and Finance Minister Yes Moussa Douale, the President of the Djibouti Chamber of Commerce Youssouf Moussa Douale, and many business leaders and employers in Djibouti in friendly countries, especially German companies. In his speech, the President of the Djibouti Chamber of Commerce welcomes all the participants to the seminar, stressing that they constitute an opportunity to deepen the commercial and economic relations between local and foreign investors.
Business communities of our continent have multiplied in recent years. As an example, in Djibouti, and since 2014, the Chamber of Commerce of Djibouti has had the opportunity to cooperate and collaborate with Ghorfa, of which it is a member, as well as African Veteran, in the organization of events bringing together the private sectors of the two countries. In addition, our country's institutions have developed several partnerships with federal institutions in the Federal Republic of Germany, particularly in the field of renewable energy. This is in this context that the renewable energy promotion project in Djibouti, PERD, is part of this partnership, which has made possible, among other things, to set up a renewable energy consultancy center at the Chamber of Commerce of Djibouti, and the development of a training program of Djiboutian young people in installation and maintenance of photovoltaic equipment. We really want to thank the German ambassador present here to continue that program for 2 more years. Thank you very much, Ambassador.
In his speech, the Minister of Finance, Yes Moussa Douale, spoke about the efforts of the Chamber of Commerce since 2014, where it has expanded relations with various similar organizations and strengthened its presence in international forums.
In the top 10 performer in terms of reforms. What we reformed was about starting business in Djibouti. We introduced numbers of key reforms which we succeeded in terms of land registration, in terms of also the time frame in connecting electricities, etc. We still, of course, having in hand numbers of other reforms coming soon, which will allow us to be a place where it's easy to make business. Djibouti economy since almost the last decade, 7% growth for the last 10 years, which makes an average of about 5.6% for the last decade. We started having numbers of key infrastructures. You may have chance to visit during your stay.
In this search notice, the Nuhu Mohammed family actively seeking their son Ali Nuhu Mohammed, who disappeared. The young man who has a psychological disorder left home this morning. The family is requesting from whoever come across their son to contact on these numbers 7786 11 54 or 77 30 45 and 40. I repeat, 7786 11 54 or 77 30 45 and 40. Obituary: Abdurrahman Ali Gedi passed away on last Friday at 9 p.m. He was born on August 8, 1954. He lived in Barwako. He left behind him 15 children and 8 grandchildren and 3 wives. Deceased was the father of Abdurrahman Ali, who was employed by the RTD. May the Almighty grant him His mercy in His eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And now moving on to the international scene, Lebanese Prime Minister Saad Hariri resigned from his post Saturday during a trip to Saudi Arabia in a surprise move that plunged the country into uncertainty amid heightened regional tensions. Hariri's resignation follows an assassination attempt on his life a number of days ago. Al Arabiya has reported. According to the report, the attempt took place in Beirut but was thwarted. Saudi Arabia's Gulf Affairs Minister Tamar al-Shaban said the Hariri's personal security detail had confirmed information of a plot to kill him. In a televised address from Riyadh, Hariri fired a vicious terror against Iran and the Lebanese Hezbollah group for what he said was their meddling in Arab affairs, in Iran's arms in the region will be cut off. Well, that's it for tonight's news. Thank you for joining us in RTD and have a good night.